Welcome back to We Talk. Today I have the honor and pleasure of chatting with Bardish Chagger. And if you didn't know, I was waiting here for a while, just setting up this little area when Bardish came in, wind in her hair, and full of energy and a big smile on your face. So what were you doing earlier today?
So the day started with a couple of interviews and just comments or clips so that messages can get out. Media is doing that as well. And then we recorded the Rogers debate today.
Amazing.
So some of the candidates who accepted the invitation were there. So after that, I ran home to grab a car to come here. And so it was just on the go. So thank you for waiting for me.
Yeah,
and welcome to the campaign office.
I'm so happy to be here.
It's a nice space right on Northfield, and you see the LRT go by, the Ion go by often.
Now, what was going through your mind today when you were having the debate? How were you feeling, and what were the messages that you were trying to get out there?
So it's interesting. You just never know what dynamic you're going to be in. So the NDP candidate was there, the Green Party candidate was there, and 3 independent candidates were there. So two parties did not choose. So in Waterloo, the riding of Waterloo, we have 9 candidates running. I am one of those candidates. And I'm born and raised in this community. So for me, it's really about who will fight for Waterloo. Born and raised in the Waterloo region, born Canadian. Didn't make those choices, but if I could, I would choose Waterloo in Canada all over again. I did choose the Liberal Party because I think it's the vehicle in which we have a vision for Waterloo and Canada that actually works. And so I'm trying to convey the platform the Liberal Party is running on and what we will do for people within our community. And so people will say, how do you know Mark Carney likes Waterloo or appreciates Waterloo? Because I always say, as much as the world needs more Canada, Canada needs more Waterloo. So you need people to appreciate Waterloo. But during his leadership run, came to Waterloo. 4 days after the writ was issued, where is he? In Waterloo. So he knows this region is important, and so this election is very important on numerous different levels, but primarily about who will fight for Waterloo. Because only one person in the whole country gets to do it at the federal level as MP. You do it in different ways, but as Member of Parliament, there's only one for Waterloo. There's 5 within the Waterloo region, so we all work closely together. So it's important, wherever you're voting, to consider the candidates and pick someone who will vote or fight for our communities.
Iconic message
Thank you.
about the world needing more Waterloo.
100%.
I'm also curious, do you enjoy your job?
Love it.
Love it?
So, okay, it's an honor and a privilege, but I got involved in politics when I was 13 years old, okay? My family immigrated from India. Some of the things that I was fighting for, or I thought were right, or help our community, help our country, were not necessarily values my parents or my family always agreed with. And I come from an extended family. So family is very important to me. And for me, family by love or by blood, very important to me. So my father, it would cause tensions at home sometimes. My dad got me involved with the Liberal Party. And it became my vehicle in which I could advance policies that I thought were important. So I fought for things like same-sex marriage before the Liberal Party even accepted it. Even before the Supreme Court of Canada ruled that it was a charter right. I'm older than the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That is the document that I hold closest to my heart and reflects every decision I try to make. And with rights and freedoms come responsibilities. But it's a very important document. It is our Canadian charter. Being able to do that every single day, I fought for dying with dignity before I could vote, right? So it's medical assistance in dying today. I was elected MP. I was in cabinet. And the first piece of legislation we were voting on was medical assistance in dying. Amazing. Yeah. So having done this since I was 13, really involved with the democratic process and advancing policies, I love what I get to do. I'm not an early morning person, but as Member of Parliament, I will be up whenever you need me, and I will work late, I will work early, I will work all the time, because this community deserves it.
Very telling about your continual commitment to your core values. And I love that, like you said, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think you take with yourself a lot of social responsibility and consciousness with every action that you take.
And I think what's interesting is because sometimes what your personal values are not necessarily a good decision for the country, right? So being able to have those conversations and make those decisions, really important. Because people will say, how do you separate yourself as an individual from being the MP. I think the MP's job is to listen to a diversity of perspectives and make a good decision. It might not be the most popular decision, but if it's the right decision, we need to advocate and advance it. And so I think that's where elections are important. And that's where I'm really grateful to Waterloo. When I first was elected, not as many people were communicating with the MP's office, versus today, we're able to help people get through federal departments and agencies. People are voicing their opinions and giving constructive feedback. So people in Waterloo have given a lot of advice to the federal government for us to be able to deliver on programs. And that's why Canada needs more Waterloo.
I think as an MP and a politician, you have to be very multidimensional with your thinking, which is not easy to do at all. But I commend how much you take things into consideration to make the right and the most impactful decision for stakeholders everywhere.
Well, you try, right? And sometimes there is learning, and sometimes you have to course correct. But yes, if people don't feed into it, it's really hard to make that decision. And I want to represent the diversity of views and perspectives and experiences in Waterloo. So I need people to communicate. And sometimes the inbox will be saturated with one opinion. And I wonder if the others exist. So then I'll enter into the community and try to have other conversations to see where people are at.
Especially with what I can think of based on my current discussions in English class and everything, as well as these echo chambers online, and how the issue of divisiveness is becoming more perpetuated with technology. And I think it's amazing.
Well, the access to information, the world's so much smaller.
Yes, I think it's amazing that you try to take into account all of those different angles that may exist.
You try the best you can, because it's important to be able to do so. It's the campaign office. Here we are. Welcome to Bardish Chagger's campaign office. And there's a doorbell for when the door opens. Yeah, I think I choose. There's been a lot of name calling and a lot of noise in this campaign. I'm trying really hard. Well, first of all, it's easier for people like myself, because Waterloo is the best natural renewable resource we have in Waterloo is our people. It's a brain. It's the ability to want to learn and broaden your horizons and expand your decision-making capabilities, right? I think we have so much to offer. So I think it's really important that I always ground myself in that when I'm making a decision. So I'm not getting into the name calling. I'm trying to move the noise. But I think people have echo chambers because they like what they're hearing.
Yes.
And it's hard to have an opinion that might not be yours or to grasp something that's not yours. But we need to challenge ourselves to do that.
Wonderfully put. Balloons in the doorway.
Those are the balloons for my birthday. I turned halfway to 90.
I saw your Instagram post about that.
Yeah.
Such a cute picture.
Thank you.
Adorable balloons as well.
Thank you.
I'm also wondering, what does a typical day in the life look like for you? And I'm sure it varies from day to day, but maybe in the recent few weeks?
So as a candidate?
Yes.
Okay, so for me, every campaign runs differently. I believe campaigns are about engaging with the electorate. So the team is out knocking on doors every single day. I'm out knocking on doors every single day. So normally I would start around 1 o'clock, but today we're having this chat, but I'll go join the team right after. People will email, people will call. So you get to have those conversations, and people are trying to, I hope, look at the different options and find a vision for the country, a vision for the local community as well, but somebody who's going to fight for us. So I hope people are trying to engage. Voter turnout's not really ever high. But the last few weeks, I'll tell you, what's been very exciting about my world is there's a lot of people answering the door. A lot of people know there's a federal election, which is not often the case. And a lot of people are saying they're going to vote. We have had some people who are just it's not worth it and whatever. I just want to say it is always worth it. And sometimes you can't align yourself with a party or an individual or whatever it might be. But I think there are certain things that might be important to each individual that they might be able to find a vision for within the platform. So just explore it. If you have the right to vote, it's really a privilege. It is a right, but it's a privilege to vote. So I would say, cast your ballot. And it's not hard to do.
Can you remember the first time you voted and how you were feeling and what motivated you?
Yes, because I got involved in politics when I was 13. You can't really join a political party until you're 14. So then I was
an official
being a member.
Got it.
Not all parties, but our party. So when I was 14, I became the member of the Liberal Party of Canada. And then I couldn't vote till I was 18. And so I do remember very clearly having the ability to cast a ballot.
sure it was a very impactful time.
Yeah, well, there was a majority government federally, right? So in the 93 campaign, I had volunteered. And so, yes, yeah.
And what would you say, given the tapering youth civic engagement we've seen in the previous election, to any young person who's out there who might feel like their vote doesn't matter or who feels disconnected from political messages in the campaigns?
When I graduated from the University of Waterloo, you had 6 months of payment relief on your Canada student loan. What I didn't know was that the day after you graduate, there was interest accumulating on this Canada student loan. So the purpose of these loans and grants is so that people can access post-secondary regardless of the fiscal situation at home, and gain a post-secondary education. And so I was really upset, like when I found out 5.5 months later that I had been paying interest on top of interest on top of interest. Like, that's ridiculous. And that's not the government trying to like help young people out as you're entering your professional like future, your career. And so I wrote a policy in 2004 to say remove interest on Canada student loans. When I was elected in 2015, it wasn't part of our platform, but I was at the cabinet table, and even if I wasn't, we had access to being able to have conversations because you know what's important. But I told the finance minister at that time, it was Bill Morneau, that we need to remove interest from Canada student loans. And he didn't know what the situation was, because not all people are using these programs, but they want them to work for whoever needs to use them. And so on page 44 of Budget 2019 is removing interest on Canada student loans.
You know it right off the top
So
of
I'm
your
just
head.
saying, as much as you think it might not happen, you hit a point in your life where you look in the rearview mirror and you see some of the impacts you've actually had. So when you're aligning yourself with something, when you're fighting for something, when you're signing a petition, when you're participating, as much as it might not be exactly how you want it, you are part of the progress we've made. So it does matter. And sometimes people are busy and you just don't have the time to vote. And that's why voting is accessible right from the day the written's issued. So try to cast a ballot. Do whatever you can. It matters. Voting matters. And we're lucky to live in a country like Canada, right? Where we have a vote and we can agree to disagree. You know, neighbors have up different signs. People have different perspectives. But we can still be good neighbors. We can still be a good community. And we are an amazing country who's being challenged right now. So I think more than ever, it matters. It's important always, but this election really important. So just, if you can, cast your ballot. Would love to see. And I hope you know, if you live in Waterloo, I hope you vote for Bardish Chagger, and I hope you vote for me and our vision and our ability. But more importantly, I just hope you vote for something. Like, go cast your ballot, whoever it might be for. It counts.
It's not futile to add your voice to the massive voices, and in creating a vote or a signal for the changes that you want to see, you open the door for all of these possibilities for what you want to see exactly.
Yeah, and if you don't feel heard, like, there's ways. You can start a petition. You can go have a conversation with an elected person or a candidate or whoever, and we can start getting that ability to advance something going.
Yes.
So just on removing interest. A lot of people, like within the Liberal Party, it made it to the top 10 within our community. But when we went in the provincially, we did well. But when it went to the national level, we didn't rank in the top 10. But we, you know, you never know what an idea you have might do.
Yeah, be proactive if you have that passion, for sure.
Or find that passion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can see that you've done that throughout your political career and in entering politics as well. Now, it's been an eventful many years, many decades for you in your career and all the impacts you've created on the community. What is something that you tell yourself, even during times where it might be a little bit more tough, whether that's in your work or in your personal life?
I think being elected has reminded me that each individual gives whatever they can, right? Like, being your true authentic self is something I've always told everyone else to do. But I've been trying to stay true to who I am, staying true to how I believe representation should work. So Waterloo, I think, is the only riding in the whole country where the MP, the MPP, and the mayor are all in one building. And our riding is like small enough, compact enough that we can do that. Some ridings are massive, but most ridings are. So we're able to have 3 different levels of government, and it's actually 4 levels in Waterloo, because the mayor of Waterloo is also on regional council, being represented in one building. Because most people don't know what the jurisdiction is. And I was reminded of that at the debate today, because people have great ideas and great visions. And like the debate, there was actually some good substance in that debate. But we have to be mindful that Canada is a federation and we have different levels of government in different jurisdictions. So I think that matters.
Yes, very, very well said. And I'm also curious, you've had an eventful 2025. If you could summarize this past half year in a movie title, whether that's real or non-real, what would it be? You can take your time to think about this.
I don't know. That's like a load in a movie title. I'll just tell you it's April right now, and the title would be Discount. Because when I turned 40, we were in the pandemic, and so I called it a discount birthday. And now I just turned halfway to 90, and I'm in an election.
Could you elaborate discount?
Because it was pandemic, I couldn't like hang out with my friends and family and loved ones, and we did do it virtually. We did compensate. My sister made me a delicious ice cream cake.
Your sister, I can tell, is very good at celebrating.
My sister is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, so just discount. And then now halfway to 90, discount. Yeah, but 2025, like, and I know this is tough, and it's been really tough, so I'm not taking away from that. I can't help but recognize what as a country we have and who we are. I'd probably make the title to be The Glass Is, and I would capitalize the is and bold it, half full.
Absolutely. That resonates really deeply.
Yeah.
I think, again, there's
Where
so
else
much...
can you do what we're doing, right? Like, people threaten our sovereignty, and most Canadians, majority of Canadians, were like, no, we're a sovereign nation. Like, no, thank you. But weren't rude, weren't vulgar, just like stated our opinions, right? Like, you can't get intimidated and stuff. But so we're strong, we're an amazing country, and Waterloo is a tremendous community. And so we can't lose sight of who we are. We are a barn-raising community. We do care about our neighbors. We do recognize that a high tide lifts all boats. We might not be on the coast, but we do know, right? We try to lift people up to do better than we do, at least I do. And I think we can't lose sight of that. So we've got a lot going for us. And just to talk about some of the stuff we've done. The Canada Child benefits, there used to be a benefit where every kid would receive $100 a month from the federal government. At tax time, it would be considered income and it would be taxed. So you'd have to give a portion back. We changed it to a tax-free Canada Child benefit, but it's means tested, which means families with children who need the most, so they have the lowest income, receive the most, and families with children who have the most, so have higher incomes, receive the least, right? So like it's means tested. That program, since it was brought in within the last, 7 years, has lifted hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty. And so people say, like, what does that actually mean? I agree. So in 2024, the number was 650,000 kids. And like when kids are benefiting, families are, right? Because that's who receives the income. You're able to have better food, you're able to take care. And it's been financially challenging, but it's important that the federal government recognize that we have a role to play. The fact that we're talking about international trade and Canada diversifying our markets, we've always said this, but we've never had so many people wanting to do it. So I hope we don't lose sight of this. The pandemic was like 5 years ago, not even. Do you remember when the world shut their doors on us?
It's a fever dream.
Yeah? You try not to remember it.
Well, there were some sweet moments for sure. It's
Like
just
what?
very strange to navigate. I was online school the whole year for grade 8, had no graduation. Online classes was...
Discount. Do you see what I mean?
I had, definitely trade off some things, but also gained many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But still discount, because like I know you do have the trade-offs, like it's worth being in an election, but like halfway to 90, it's a milestone, I think, and it's important. But yes, the pandemic taught us a lot, but we also forgot really quickly, like when the world started to open up again, like any capacity we had built in Canada to build and like create PPE and supply it, there was no contracts being provided, right? So like that productivity was lost really quickly. And so right now it's great that there's a lot of people saying to support Canada, recognize the importance of interprovincial trade, but we can't lose sight of that when things get just a little bit better. Because we need them to get a lot better. And the only way we're going to do that is by all of us working together and staying focused, not compromising who we are, what our values are, recognizing what's important and what matters.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone has a role to play in that.
Staying steadfast. And I love how you... I loved our conversation about COVID as well, because I think it is a prime example of turning towards the glass half full and seeing what did we take away from that, how can we learn from that, and what are some of the positive moments from that time.
100%. Like we did learn a lot, but we can't forget it so quickly. Like those learning pieces can't be left in the past. We need to make sure that we maintain them so that we don't have to repeat it again. because there is history, right, where we had situations like that. We did become complacent. We can't be complacent. There's too much at risk, and like we owe it to ourselves and to the country and to the world. Like Canada has a massive role to play.
So inspired by your grit and just your dedication to your core values. I can really see that. Now, just to end off, where else can they find you or learn more about yourself and community engagement?
So anything that you want to learn about the platform, all different, okay, I'm just going to say, all different people might have different political views or have different positions of where they stand. In Canada, if you're 18 years of age and a Canadian citizen, like just get engaged by voting. Prior to then, you can get engaged in many different ways, having conversations with people who cannot vote, trying to challenge people who can vote as to recognizing that, especially if you're under 18, we're voting for your future, so you have a role to play. If you are 18, taking the time to find out where you stand. But 18 and a Canadian citizen, you could even start your own political party. You don't have to do what everyone else has done. I still believe the Liberal Party is the best vehicle, and that's why I am where I am. I'm asking you to consider the different platforms, but take the time to for sure read the Liberal platform, and you can find that at liberal.ca. You can check out my website, very simple website for the campaign, and Instagram and Facebook. But otherwise, really simple. The social media space can be very unproductive. I'm focused on outcomes. I want to hear from people. Email me, call me, engage. Leave me a message just so I know where you're at and what you're thinking. And I want constructive feedback. So I know there's people who will engage, who are not necessarily voting for me or considering me. But I say, take the time to consider me because I think it's worth it. I think we've done well for Waterloo, but we have a lot more work to do. And I hope we get to do it together. So that's where I'm at. Now I'm going to go knock on some doors.
I love that.
And so come knock on doors with me. Come participate. It's a cool experience. But otherwise, pick the candidate you want. But I hope it's me. Very good experience at the doors, making phone calls. Election day is coming. Participate. If you're looking for a job, I think Elections Canada is still hiring, but you have to be of the right age. So make sure you apply. Get involved.
I think a politician can also take on multidimensional pieces of information, make our own opinion, and be our own agents of change.
100%.
Thank you so much for your words today.
A pleasure.